So I've been playing a lot of the new warehouse demo for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 12 over the past few days. I just wanted to make a video to confirm and deconfirm a few things that we weren't sure about before, as well as point out a few nice and not so nice differences between this game and some of the older games. All the footage you're seeing now is from the PC version of the game, but I don't think the console versions are that different. So let's talk about the settings menus a little bit first. There's a fully customizable playlist. You can turn on and off whatever songs you want. You can sort the list by artist or by song name, but not by genre like in the old games. You're allowed to rebind keyboard keys and controller buttons to whatever you like. You can even change which analog stick controls the movement. On console, I hear you get a few different control schemes to choose from, but not total rebinding. You can rebind all your directional flips, grabs, and lips, with the option to add double directionals for air tricks. Changing the camera angle is a menu option now, like it is in Thug Pro. You can also modify the usual inverted camera controls if they don't suit you, and change the field of view just like in Thug Pro. Under the Game Mods menu, you have the ability to disable all the new tricks and play just like the first two games, though you can't pick and choose which tricks get turned off like in Thug 1. We have some very intricate graphical settings and an auto detector for the best settings based on your CPU. And we have full screen, windowed and windowed borderless modes for PC. Just to show off a few tricks that hadn't been confirmed until now, you have manual pivots and nose pivots from Pro Skater 3. Wally plants basically are boneless out of a wall ride. Hip transfers from Thug 1. And acid drops are in 2. I also noticed a few more obscure features like drop down, dismounting from a rail without pressing the ollie button. You can revert out of drop downs if you're grinding a quarter pipe. You can also do this if you lose balance towards the quarter pipe slope, and it won't make you bail. You have power slides, or quick turns I guess, but the input's now down down spin right instead of down down spine. You can level out of quarter pipes by pressing the spine button, and you can air out of quarter pipes by holding forward. Tricks also become stale if you do them over and over again, and reverts slow you down more and more each time you perform them. Now here are a few features that I noticed were not included. I'm only going to be looking at tricks from Thug 1 and before. Getting off your board is impossible, obviously. Flatland tricks are in the game, but you can't do a spacewalk by pressing left-right flip. You have pivots and nose pivots, but you can't spin any other flatland tricks. You can't do double tap grinds like in Thug 1, but most of them still exist as special tricks like the Crail Slide, the Nose Grinder Pivot, and the Hang 10 Nose Grind. You can't do pressure flips from Thug 1, though they were pretty useless anyway. You can't do wall pushes, pressing grind when you hit against a wall to bounce off it. You don't seem to get shuffle bonuses for rapidly shuffling on rails, but there aren't many good places to shuffle in this level anyway. Curiously, 180 spin taps aren't an option in the control settings, and neither is the option to turn off auto kick. There's no way to swivel lock the camera. Clicking the right stick only skips the current song, the camera will always center itself behind you, and the elusive pogo to hair flip can't be done by double tapping grab during a truck stand, though maybe it's exclusive to Rodney Mullen like in Pro Skater 3. Here are a few things that are different about the new game that I actually quite like. The song that you're listening to won't end when you restart or quit to the main menu. Acid drops from very high up are called acid bombs, and they're worth more points. Comboing after the timer ends now has a little overtime indicator at the top to show that the time has ended. The get up animation after you bail is much faster, near instant if you press a button like in Thug Pro. This seemed weird to me at first, but now I appreciate it. The animations between a handstand and other flatland tricks are much smoother. You can see your skater actually stand up. Curving around a bowl looks much more lifelike now. Your skater actually leans into the bowl and conforms to gravity. The one-wheel nose manual has been renamed to one foot, one wheel to better describe it. And the input for a wall plant is now just ollie instead of down and ollie. And here are a few bad differences that I noticed. I assume most of these are glitches or oversights, but I think it's worth pointing them out. So switching around on rails and manuals and inverts looks fine, but lip trick stalls look really broken. And jumping out of one stall into another stall looks even worse. There's a short window of time when you land and invert. If you revert, your combo will end, but you'll still land the revert and start a new combo. This appears to be a glitch. There's no way to unbind your tricks. Now, unbinding is something that Thug Pro allows you to do, but none of the other old games would have let you do. So if you bind a trick to a slot that was empty, that slot can never be empty again. This seems like a massive oversight, because the double directional flips are empty by default. You also can't swap two tricks around easily because you can't select a trick that's already been bound. In the old games, if you selected a trick that you already had, the two tricks would swap slots, but that doesn't happen anymore. While I was recording footage for this video, I found that turning off song notifications in the display settings seemed to not actually make them stop appearing. Triple flip tricks seem to be really unreliable if you mash the button too quickly. I usually only get double flip tricks when I'm trying to do a triple. If you buffer a triple flip trick out of another triple flip trick by pressing the button 6 times, the second triple's animation won't play properly, and you'll bail, but it won't look like you're doing a trick. This seems to be a glitch. Using drop down to curve out of a quarter pipe seems to be pretty unreliable, like here in Warehouse. I tested it in this exact place in Thug 2, and it seemed to have the exact same problem. This is just a personal preference and not an objective issue, but I really dislike the extra skater voice clips. They're played way too often, and there's no way to turn them off in the options. It would be nice if there was a separate voice volume setting for them. And here are a few weird things that are different about this game that I'm not sure whether to call glitches or intentional and just really strange choices. You'll notice here that there's no cooldown on wall riding after a wall plant like there's in Thug 1. If I did this in Thug 2, it wouldn't be possible. It's kind of hard to notice without playing, but it takes a short moment of grinding or manualing before you can start switching tricks. In the original games, it was pretty instant. The gap list is sorted alphabetically instead of by score. This is a very strange choice, in my opinion. You can boneless out of reverts now. This has never been possible in any game I've played, so it might actually be a glitch. But it's certainly pretty cool. Warehouse actually has a ceiling now when it didn't before, meaning not everything you could do in the original is actually possible here. But I guess they had to include it for the sake of realism. Overall though, I'm very pleased with the way this demo plays. You have to play it yourself to know how accurate it is, but for the most part it gets everything right. It feels a bit slower and heavier than maybe Thug or Thug 2, but that might be down to Tony himself not having the best speed or air stats. Regardless, I hope Vicarious end up fixing the glitches I talked about, of the ones that actually are glitches, because otherwise, I think this game's fantastic. I really can't wait to play the other modes in the full game, because I'm getting seriously sick of Warehouse by now. Alright, I guess that's it. I know this is a different format to literally any of my other videos, but I wanted to try a new thing. It's probably not very good, but I tried!